In today's video, we're going to talk about basic life trajectory. What I mean by trajectory is that everyone has some kind of road he wants to go towards. It can be to become financially independent. It can be to raise a family and start a business. It can be to become a great artist or compete in the Olympics, for example. Or it can be to have just a very balanced lifestyle, to find inner peace and be satisfied with your job, with how you contribute to society, to the world, and be satisfied by that fully. So there are a lot of other ways someone can try to find some kind of balance. But today, what I want to talk about is especially going from the age of 0 up until the age of 25 or 30 years old. So now I'm 31 years old. I'm Michael Moses. I'm really interested in everything that's related to peak performance, especially improvement in general. So life improvement, self-improvement, anything that's related to that. And I've got a good grasp on how I see life, how I see the world, how we're supposed to be playing our part in it. If it can resonate with anyone, it would be really interesting to have this conversation with you guys. Let's go right into it. So where I start is at the age of 0. So when the baby is born, he has pretty much no responsibilities. Well, not pretty much. He has 0 responsibility because he's not able to be accountable. He doesn't have these brain capacities yet. So he's really dependent on everyone and everything around him to just survive. So he has to survive, he has to develop well to become able to eventually make his own decisions, make his own assumptions around the world. And well, it's really, it's the environment mostly. But in this time, if he can have enough support, enough love, and food and comfort in a way, if he has enough comfort, he's able to evolve at a really fast pace. At some point, he's going to be able to talk, to influence people, to learn a lot of different fields and theories. And that's the point where I think as the parent or as any adult around the child, we have some kind of responsibility to get them to experience as much things as possible. The goal there is to find what's most important for the child. And the reason I'm talking about childhood is because a lot of people have not they have not received what they should have received in their childhood, and this is something that we carry with ourselves as a baggage for the rest of our lives. So if you have not got enough love or comfort in your youth, it's something that is possible that you will replicate in your life and in the life of your child. Of course, the logical way would be to try to find some kind of balance, but a lot of people will live their whole life with just living paycheck to paycheck, always needing more. It can be either medication, vitamins, some kind of medical operation, or simple bed sheets and food, just basic food. A lot of people just live their whole life without eating properly, and this is one of the ways that you can really operate at suboptimal capabilities. So that's really why I'm talking about these sections in our destiny or in our trajectory, because if those issues were not addressed when you were young, sometimes you keep them as a baggage. So basically, now we've got on early childhood, then we go to when the child is able to talk, to take decisions. At this point, he should experiment with as much things as possible, and if he's able to find his passion or his calling at this moment, well, the job of the parent or the adult around him is to just push him and really help him make mistakes. So support him to make more and more mistakes so he can improve and evolve in that field. The goal is not to suffocate the child, of course. It's just to encourage him to go from goal to goal to goal. And eventually, if he's not able to set his goals for himself when he's young, you can help him do that, or you can give him goals that he can accomplish, and eventually he will develop his sense of creating his own goals. That's it for really early childhood. Then what comes next is when the child becomes a teenager. So he opens up his high view, he opens up his worldview. He's able to understand his relationship with people from other cultures, from around the world, and where he wants to be located. He has this capacity at this age, but a lot of people don't really take the moment to find where the children or the teenager wants to be situated when he grows up. And the reason is simple for that. It's because the societal mold in which we all live, which is the logical path, the path that everyone idolizes, that everyone wants their children to go to, well, it's not the only path. So when you only think about this one, you block out a lot of other ways your child, or even yourself, if you're this teenager that's just thinking about the future, can block yourself. If you block these paths, and it's actually there that you should be going in your soul, in your mind, well, that's going to be really hard for you, or for this child to evolve and become the best version of themselves. Not only that, but he will also suffer from painful experiences going through the scholar system. And I mean, it's not everyone that will suffer through the scholar system. A lot of people will be just quite satisfied with their lives if they don't pursue their passion or what's important for them. But well, I guess that's what the video is really about. It's to forge your own trajectory, to find your own path, and to stop renting your time for someone else, to actually go for some risk, for, yes, some losses, but actually the highest reward, which is satisfaction, fulfillment, just being satisfied with every parcel of your being and your life. So yeah, after, well, as a teenager, of course, you have this process. You want to become good at school, you want to think about your future, going to college and becoming some kind of job, renting your time, the idolized path, like I said. And if that's what you want, for example, you have an urge to become a law enforcement expert or something like that, you can just do that, and that's perfectly fine. But just imagine, for example, if instead of working for a law enforcement firm, you build your own. So you have management skills, even though you have other skills in the world of law enforcement. This is pretty much the dream I'm talking about. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be a businessman, to work 70 hours a week. Of course not. If you want to build experience, to understand the terrain a little bit better, there's no shame in that. You can go ahead. But I just think that true fulfillment comes from those kinds of experiences. And this is a really dull experience in my opinion, because law enforcement, I've never really met someone at 16 or 17 years old that is like, oh yeah, I want to go into law enforcement and this is my life, this is what's exciting me the most. But I mean, that can happen. There's probably a few people that has this trajectory or this destiny ahead of them. But well, just when you're in your teens, there's also the need to have some kind of baseline. When you're at this age, it's where you become more and more independent. And even though we don't really see it at this moment, we're a lot more like our parents than we wish we were. So our life habits or our eating habits, our physical activity habits, most of them will come from our parents. Of course, our taste in food, our taste in music will be pretty much different because we want to experience more and more things. But it doesn't mean that the core essence of how we live our lives is different. So we will tend to clean as much as our parents, or clean as little as our parents. So yeah, that's my 10 cents on the subject. But then you get to a point where you have a better understanding of how the life works, how the world works, and you want to become in a symbiotic state, to become one with the world, to find your mark and just go there. So how does that happen? Is that you find some idols, you can find your own path. If it's in a creative industry, for example, you can just stop consuming content and start creating and innovating. Just ditch the theories, just do your own thing, find your own personality in the genre. So again, the most challenging thing, I think, when you escape teenagehood and then you go into adulthood is the suppression of your dreams. And this is made in the mostly in the education system. But if you still dream big after going to your high school, well, that's a really good plus. I think you can leverage that to your advantage. And the logical path of society, again, one more time, it's not bad. It's not, it's a comfortable path. It's a safe path. It will make sure that you're able to provide to your family, to build a little bit of wealth, enough to pay for your rent, enough to pay for your groceries. If you go for this safe, comfortable way, you're going to be totally fine. It's not something that you need to be ashamed of. It's just that I think there's so much more, and it's not for everyone, but some people will want to demarcate themselves. They want to stand out from the crowd and attain peaks that others don't really want to explore. So if your dreams are suppressed, maybe it was for the best, but the only way that you can really accept this reality as the one that's chosen for you is if you can tell me right in the eyes that you're deeply satisfied with your situation. If you're 25 years old, you're 30 years old, or you're 50 years old, and you can honestly tell me right into my eyes that you're satisfied with every spheres of your life, so social, love, finances, work, play, all of those. If you're satisfied, then good, you're probably already on the good trajectory. But if there's something that needs fixing, we need to go dig up those buried dreams that we buried in our childhood, when we decided, okay, I need to go to this path because that's the logical path. Because most people just have this experience. They don't really validate that the path they have chosen is actually for a good reason. And I see it all the time. I talk about this choice that they've made in the past, and most people, they're completely clueless about why they have decided to engage into this path. Some of them think that they are not able to do more, and that is one of the biggest lies you can tell to yourself, is that you're not able to do anything. If you don't have the physical capacity to do something, if you're too old to compete in a certain sport or discipline, I can understand. These are realistic and totally rational decisions and understanding of the life. But it's not because you're 60 years old that you cannot become a great musician or good in poetry, or become, even you could become one of the best 60 years old in golf, for example. So I think this is something that we all know deep inside, but we don't actually live by it always. So, when you get to the point where your brain and your body is fully functional, fully developed, you want to go into finding your fulfillment. And to do that, it's really important to understand that fulfillment is not quick. It's not easy. It's definitely not simple. But it's also not a roll of dice. So it's not a game of chance. And also, it's not a hobby. It's not part-time. It's not something that you do only a little bit. It's something that you constantly do normally. At first, maybe you do it part-time because you want to balance comfort and risk, and that's totally okay. It's the path that I decided to choose, and it's the path that is the longest, because since you don't risk a lot, you don't feel a lot of pressure to perform, to really push yourself to succeed in this discipline or this path, this goal that you set for yourself. Fulfillment is something that you cultivate. It's something that you take care of. It's also how you differentiate yourself from the crowd. It's how you become your own star. Now, if you take all of those into account, you're going to see tremendous growth. You're going to be able to understand what lacks, where in your lifetime things might have gone wrong, how you can really come back from it. Because a lot of the time, we forget about those past experiences. We forget the choices that we've made. And it's really destructive in a way, because we live by standards and rules that we don't even believe in. But since we always have lived by them, we don't question them. Now, there's another mistake that I think a lot of people can fall into when trying to draw their life trajectory. And it's all about trusting yourself, that you have the self-discipline to push through the task. Because you can understand that you have the capacity to do something, but since you haven't proven to yourself that you can, it can become quite hard to put in the effort day after day, constantly, without ever stopping. So that's why I created this video in which I explain exactly how I tamed self-discipline. So I really encourage you to go and watch it. There's a lot of information in this one. It's more condensed than the current video. There's a clear template that you can use. So make sure that you go watch this video if this is something that interests you. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe to this video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.